Father Larry is talking about having a relationship. Some people accuse Catholics. Well, you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ. You just have rules, that's all. Well, that isn't true at all, and Father Larry is going to show us why it isn't. When I was in the evangelical world, they talked a lot about a relationship with Jesus Christ. And they said that Catholics really didn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ. They just followed things to do. Okay, Father, what is a relationship with Jesus Christ?
A relationship with Jesus Christ is knowing Jesus Christ as a person, as a friend. You know, remember when Jesus says, I've told you all this, I call you my friends in John chapter 15. And so even the teaching of the church has always been clear with all in the New Universal Catechism, but also with the Baltimore Catechism. Who made me? God made me. Why did God make me? God made me to know Him, love Him, and serve Him. It sounds like a relationship to me. Does that sound like a relationship with you?
Yes.
You know, to know God and to love God and to serve God, because we serve people we love. So we can be with Him forever. Talk about relationship. So we can be with God forever. And so, like, again, if I do a mission, I'll say the first question I have to ask you is, do you know Jesus Christ?
They don't know what you mean by that.
I know. Catholics haven't a clue sometimes. And I say, do you know Him like you know your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your husband, your wife, your best friend? Do you know Christ?
How? He doesn't talk back to us audibly.
He does in prayer. I mean, that's why if I could get one thing for every Catholic to do, it'd be to shut their mouth when they pray every once in a while and listen to God. And we don't talk, He can talk audibly. It's happened to the saints. Of course it has. It's happened to Moses. It happened to Paul. It happened to various people. It's happened again and again. But God will always speak through His Word in the Scripture. So when people come to me and say, Father, God never speaks to me, I say, come here. Whack! God always speaks to you.
Was that God speaking to him right then?
He just says, God always speaks to you. What's the problem? You're not listening. And remember again, St. Jerome, one of our saints, sat there and says, ignorance of the Bible is ignorance of Christ. So if you want to be in relationship, you need to enter His Word, because then if you don't know the Bible, then you don't know Christ. And if you don't know Christ, you're not in a relationship. So it's important that we as Catholics enter into intimacy with Jesus, and that means we have committed daily prayer time where we just don't talk to God, but we listen to God. You know, I wrote a whole book, Surrender, on how to listen to God. You know, what does it mean to listen to God?
See how he plugged that book in there? Just a little. He just slipped it in there.
Yeah, it was just in there. A surrender book. You want to get it. Anyway, but it talks about the reality that we need to listen to God. And when we enter in this relationship, it's a give and a take. And there's many ways you can do that. Like I've told people, you want to see your relationship, start writing a letter to God every day. And then let God write you a letter. Now you have a journal of your relationship. You can see it externally. Anything you do, but the number one thing you got to do for any relationship is spend time.
If I say to my wife, honey, I just want to have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
Don't ask me not to date other girls.
Exactly.
Don't ask me to come home at night.
Yes.
Don't ask me to help
Spend
around
time
the house.
with you.
Those are rules. Those are rules. I don't want to follow your rules. Let's just have a relationship.
Sure. Love demands life. So it demands all kinds of rules. You know, if I love you, that means I'm going to give up my life for you. That means I'm going to serve you. That means I'm going to do everything for you. Jesus says, if you love me, keep my commandments, right? So if he says that stuff, it's part of everything. Love has rules as part of it. And it's a rule of giving up your life for others. And so we as a church do that in many, many ways. But we do this because we're such a big group and we do things together as God's family. But God asks us to do things, not only in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament. When Jesus says, all people will know you're my disciples because you love one another.
So it's a false dichotomy where somebody says, relationship, not rules.
Yes, and it is a false dichotomy because if you're in love with somebody, it demands rules.
Rules, relationship.
Together.
Like that.
Absolutely. Are you in a relationship with Jesus is what I want to know, Doctor.
I'm sure hoping so. Sure hoping so.
I think he is.
He has to say that. It's my show.